to show up.
Everything is
Hooray!
unmuted. It is officially started.
Fantastic. So, in that case, somebody needs to tell me what happened last time, because goodness knows I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I took the book
Mm-hmm.
from not the head warrior guy.
Definitely,
And
actually, the first hunter, yes.
what I'm not clear on is whether he wrote it or was just reading it.
There's an author name there that is not his.
I
I'll
know,
give you that right now.
but it could be a pseudonym, right? Like it could be.
That is true.
What is that? Is pseudonym the right pen name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pseudonym.
Isn't there another?
I think pseudonym is exactly the word you're looking
Is that
for.
okay? I was having
A pen name?
Yes. So I wasn't
Mhm.
sure because it wasn't clear because it was described as like a journal, like a dirty old book that he had been carrying with him for a long time. So maybe he was
Yes.
writing his own story.
Uh,
Not. Okay.
I'll give you that one. Here's some knowledge you could take. That is. He's just reading that.
And I had to get it by climbing through the window of his quarters in the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And we made it back into town. And they had lost Primrose and didn't want to tell us. So when we went and saw Ranmar and Pelna, they were. It was a mixed greeting.
Mm-hmm.
And come on, guys, help me out. Fill in the blank.
Andromeda is missing.
Right, we haven't
Yeah.
seen her in a long time.
Yep.
They
Worth
finished
pointing
the
out.
disguise.
Yep. It's worth pointing out. Primrose is perfectly fine. She finished the disguise. It was just Andromeda that's missing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I think I
Yep.
misunderstood that they were both gone. That we had to find Primrose also.
Palna
Nope.
was.
Primrose is upstairs.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Palna was.
We killed a lava lizard.
Yeah, we killed a lava
Yeah,
lizard.
we did.
Yeah, that was a weird thing that we skipped over. Was hey, you guys finished a major storyline quest?
Those were
But
the
right
two
before
things
that-
I was really excited about.
That's true. I just you started with the book, and I was like, cool, that did happen in chronological order, yeah. And then, oh no, yeah, you went right to the ship, so yeah, we'll just suck at horror effects, whatever.
No, we did. We did. We fought him. We got the meats that we needed. We brought everything back. We were expecting it to be a great big warm welcome, and it was kind of not.
No, that's fine. You know what? I'm going to give you a solid C+ for your review, because there were a few facts that were missing and a few facts that were blatantly wrong, but the heart was there.
That's how I remember most things.
Yeah. So before the Horrifex hunt, you guys spent some time in camp and were getting ready to do a long rest when he got a message back from Porta Maria saying, the God's Feast, which was supposed to be in like 26 days, I just looked at my wrist like I had a watch on, and I just took my watch off. Yeah, that God's Feast that was supposed to be in about 3.5, 4 weeks is in 7 days. Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first hunter was like packing up to leave when you convinced him that it would be in his best interest to stay and help with the fight, which was actually pretty good on you. I was not sure that was going to happen. With him in tow, you guys went and tracked down the Horrifex and just messed it up. We had just an embarrassing initiative roll all around, and that is definitely what I'm blaming on that. Because if I remember right, we capped out at a 9 for the party.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I screenshot it and put it in D&D
Yeah.
chat because it was amazing.
Yep.
You could say we all rolled amazingly instead of horribly.
Yeah,
It was very close.
It was 9, 6, 5, 5, 2, and 1.
Yep, and
Yeah, but if
I
you
was the
curve
2
it-
and 1, so
It was amazing.
If you curve it, they're excellent.
that's true. Every single one of you beat every one of the monsters.
Yep.
And
then beat them into the ground,
the
yes.
Horrifex might have been a more formidable foe had we not all gotten to go before him, and then he didn't roll super well.
That is true.
The dice were not in his favor.
Molo also mentioned at the end that, hey, this was a baby and probably a good thing because I don't want to fight an adult. And the party, I think, like very briefly was like, yeah, me neither. Let's just carve this and get the fudge out of here.
Calling it a win.
Yeah, which is good because to peel back the curtain ever so slightly, that would have been the first time you guys had to fight something where I had to add the word prime at the end.
Ooh.
So it's for the best. And the
I
hunter
do
would
like
not
prime
have joined
rib.
you for that. So you fought the Horifex. It was very successful. You carved the meat that you needed and an extra part. I forget if it was the fang or the hide, but somebody's got that in their inventory. And then you sailed back to Porto Maria. It took 3 days, and during that time, I think the only major thing that happened was Mira stole a dirty novel from someone.
And I copied it.
And copied it. That was another weird thing
And
where I was
there
telling
are-
people afterwards.
There are pages missing. Well, because I had to return it. I didn't want him to know that I took it.
Yeah. No, the weird thing was not that you copied it, because that makes absolute sense. The thing that was weird was I sent you the email saying, hey, you have this book, and then like an hour later was like, she still hasn't reacted to this. Hey, have you read the book? And you're like, yeah, I'm going to read it in a little bit. I want to transcribe it first. And I was like, no, Meg the human being, have you looked at your email yet?
I'm sorry, I was trying to pay
And then
attention.
And then like 20 seconds later, I got the reaction I wanted. I was like, I had to force it, but whatever, we got there. So you got back to Porto Maria and found that the city was, unlike last time, ooh, my chili's boiling, was incredibly busy. Because at this point, probably most of the people that follow Telemar in the world are here. Sounds like word's gotten around that he's coming, and like any good celebrity sighting, everybody wants to be there. You left your ship in good hands. Brendan Stafford still has the wheel, and went to go visit with Pelna and Ranmar, and that is where you discovered that Pelna was actually acting kind of sus, and when asked about it was like, sorry, I lost Andromeda. She never reported in. I don't know. I have expended guild resources trying to find her, and I can't. I think was the line she used. So she like kind of slunk off to the back and was sad. But Ranmar was like, I got my protein. Let's do this. I can't wait. I'm so excited to use my combustion pot. Also, don't worry, Pelna. We got this. No problem. You also checked in on the remaining 3 charges. We've got Neko, Kozu, and Primrose, who are all upstairs and are healthy and hale. Primrose did mention that she had finished her disguises, so that's good. And I think that's where we cut off. I say that because the last screen I looked at when I opened this like 5 days ago to start working on it was Ranmar's lab.
And that's when Tyrus told us that Andromeda's doing attendant stuff like Sphinxes do.
That's true. And then he started making time travel jokes.
Yep.
And it wasn't until I saw that chat just now, like when I fired this back up for this session, that I saw that text and was like, oh yeah, I probably should mention that. Hey, Tyrus, it's worth pointing out that since you had your encounter with her father, Sirius, she has not blunk out of existence. Like, she's been fairly stable for about a week now. You don't know for the last couple days because she's AWOL, but she had mentioned when you first met her that it was every time she went to sleep, she definitely woke up somewhere else. And not getting into the specifics of her sleeping schedule or patterns, but she has definitely slept at least one point on your ship, at least. So it looks like maybe Sirius let off the curse.
Man, right now would be a great time to remember what our first encounter was.
That's fine. Look, it's been a while. We've been doing this campaign for a little while. Your first encounter with Andromeda was session 4?
Yeah.
Right after you left Cross's Rest, after looking through the city, the town when it was first abandoned.
I definitely remember she said something important, but I don't remember what it was.
She definitely did.
Yeah.
And
I-
also, that
I
was.
have
Oh,
notes.
go ahead.
Are we getting into notes now? For
I mean,
that
if you
session?
want to recollect, this would be a great time for you guys, like, if you wanted to discuss things before you went into the city and did stuff. The floor is yours.
I mean, if she's doing Sphinx's things and traveling through time, maybe that's where she is where we were. And that might help us out now. That made sense.
Okay. Andromeda's first
felt-
sighting was session 5.
I was close.
She was in a grove. She was snoring. I sang
remember
her
that.
a song to wake her up. She would only talk to us after she was told a joke, which I believe was the bucket joke.
Mm-hmm. It was sort of a riddly joke.
Yep, she asked if we'd acquired the combustion bot yet. She's a little sweet on Tyrus. These are my actual notes.
Mm-hmm.
To give us a touch of insight we might find helpful, she tries to share a riddle with us, but uses the answer in her riddle and has to stop. The answer was a key, so Holden offers to give her a riddle instead, one that she could commit to memory. That's the what can you put in a bucket to make it lighter?
Mm-hmm.
Check the spoon. Check the spoon is what she said.
Check the spoon.
Check the spoon.
And if I remember right, she said that like as she was being zorked
disappeared.
into time.
Yep.
Well, check the spoon.
Check the
Let's
spoon.
go check the spoons. Unless that has to do with the feast.
Oh, probably.
And it's not
Yeah.
time yet.
Yeah, we got a few days still. And also, look, this is a town made of food and cooking. There are a lot of spoons.
Yeah, but was there like a favorite spoon that she used?
Or the spoon that the god is going to eat off of.
That's what I was thinking too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How would we gain access to that, though? I would think they would keep that kind of private.
Guard it off.
If you don't check it thoroughly, we'll be forked.
All right, so, yeah, I'm smiling because I did like it, but I also am the thing that's keeping everything going, so I have to
Yep,
ask.
I guess we're getting pointed in the right direction.
What is everybody's plan? I should say, you were also updated that, based on the schedule, Telemar is scheduled to arrive in Porta Maria tomorrow, and that there is going to be a fairly large ceremony that you, as associates to the Culinarians Guild, are invited to, but it's otherwise just Culinarians Guild members and Telemarian acolytes.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think of how they were going to check the Telemarian acolytes part, but whatever.
If I remember correctly, we also wanted to get an upgrade for Holden's crossbow.
Yeah.
And we still
Got
haven't
like a
made
fire aspect.
any progress on who the dirty person in the Culinarians Guild is.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot to do now that we're in
Yep.
town.
To quote some of my favorite quotable lyrics of all time, "You've got a long way to go and a short time to get there."
Can we ask Grandmar if he knows who's in charge of the cutlery for the god?
Yeah, he's still in the room working on his combustion pot. So if you ask him, he pokes his head up from behind the thing. It's enormous, by the way. I don't know if I really stressed that enough, but we're talking like, 3.5, 4 feet long and 2.5 feet tall. So he does have to actually like stand on his tiptoes to see over it being on the counter. He says, the cutlery? What? It would probably be one of the administrators, but Well, I don't know who specifically.
Is there any
Well-
way we could find out which administrator?
I suppose that would probably be something you'd want to talk to Racklin about. He knows more about the administrative workings. The culinarians and the administrators, we don't necessarily work in the same spheres, if you know what I mean.
I turn to the group and basically tell them if we can figure out which administrator is working with the culinary, we might be able to use Andromeda's clue to figure out who the mole or the dirty person is inside the guild.
Sounds like a plan.
If we think the spoon might be bad, maybe we can stop a poisoning or something like that.
Racklin was one of the people on our list, right? So
Yeah.
Nope.
he wasn't.
He wasn't.
Do we?
Uh,
Do we know?
I can go over the
Oh, I
list
always
real fast.
suspected him.
Everybody suspected him, but I'm gonna be real. Everybody has suspected everybody. You guys have casted shade on Ranmar and Pelna too. The people that were on your list were the guildmaster and the 6 counselors,
Okay.
the first hunter Molojoro, and the lead administrator Mulhollam.
Molojoro can be crossed off, I think. Because, I mean, he was the furthest away.
He's a straight shooter as well. He seems pretty against Two-Face.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what he would want you to think.
Gasp. Dun dun dun.
As a quick review, this information came from everyone's favorite blood assassin Mortavio, who mentioned that the only person that could have funded him was somebody who had access to unlimited funds from the Culinarians Guild, which was just those 9 people.
Right.
Is it time to maybe bring Racklin in on it then? And see if he can help us figure out who's doing it? Or who is not to be trusted? Or should we
To
devote our
keep-
time? Because I would guess that based on his personality, the head of the Culinarians Guild, because he's kind of showy, is going to be most likely to want to be involved in everything that the god is going to interact with, which means that he's going to be intimately involved in the selection of whatever is provided to him for his dining experience.
Yeah. I think we should bring Recklin in and talk to him and basically
Yeah.
explain what our theory is.
What we're on about, yeah.
Or is it more important that we find Andromeda to see what she's learned so far? I think those are our 2 next steps options.
I think following a lead about a 4th dimensional being is going to be difficult, and we should stick to mortals.
All right, lead the way.
So we're going to go
All
talk
right.
to Racklin.
Sounds good.
And we
Let's
can
bring.
requisition the bow while we're there.
That's
Nice.
true. I even have a scene made for that because I'm super prepared and we've done this before.
Yeah.
So let's bring you to Racklin's office. Racklin is pretty much chained to his desk right now. Definitely just metaphorically, but there is a lot of paperwork going on. He is really feeling the heat as if there is a huge deadline in the busy season of his work, and is making the most time that he can for you while also cooking a chili in the next room. when you guys enter the door, knocking or otherwise, he does light up when he sees you. Oh, well, hello. I wasn't expecting you. Please come in. I am glad to see all of you. I take it that means that you were successful on your hunt.
We definitely were.
Real quick, are you asking Racklin that, or are you asking the Cosmos so that the Cosmos can answer you? Because I'm really feeling in a Cosmos mood.
Yeah, I was asking the Cosmos before we got here, but I typed slow apparently.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I saw you typing, so I kind of timestamped it in my head. Before we get in depth in the Racklin conversation, I will say that Morthos didn't have a lot to give you. He had properly debriefed everybody at the last session that we had, X, that he had seen the same attacker that he had seen before. In that it seemed like it was exactly the same person that was riding that runaway carriage that you guys chased down. If you remember, he was really shook when that happened.
Yeah, he was really upset.
And so he was really shook once more. And when we started that session, pretty much the only thing that he had not spilled that I spilled on his behalf was he like slammed into, I think it was Holden, your palm, a second one of those golden dagger pins that the first one had on him. And kind of muttered to you, I'm going to go deal with this. And that's the last we've seen of him.
Copy, thanks.
He's definitely like still somewhere, but I felt like knowing what his schedule looks like right now, that was maybe the best off-stage left I was going to be able to give him.
Oh, for sure. I just wanted to make sure that he didn't have like a key piece of information.
Nope, he gave it to you. So, if you have any other questions about it, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'm happy to zoom back in on this conversation. So, Racklin, in response, well, I'm glad. That should give Ranmar enough time to finish his dish. He and I have been talking about it a little, and it seems like if he didn't have the equipment for it, a dish of that magnitude would take weeks. Presumably, the protein would have spoiled before it finished cooking. So, with that, and with Pelna, I think we've got everything we need. By all accounts, I suppose you have some time to rest.
While we're having our long rest, I have a question for the Cosmos.
Okay.
Because I don't remember. Does anyone else have anything before we take our long rest?
Well, I should say, you guys have had like 3 days worth of ship time for long rest. You are definitely all at
We
full
have
health
everything
and
that we
spells.
need. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. I was going through my notes.
But feel free to ask your questions. It's
I was
fine.
going through my notes and I couldn't remember. So I know that Craven Tontos wrote the guides, but
Mhm.
I don't remember who we had our initial meeting with and sent us the communiques.
That was the author, Craven Tontos.
So maybe we should talk to him wherever he is and see if he knew about what was going on when he commissioned us. Because if I remember, we all had code names and he was very secretive about assembling our particular group of people for this mission. So maybe he has some additional information that we don't have or could help us. Or is that just a really bad idea?
If you're asking me, there's no such thing as a bad idea, just bad execution.
Well, I wasn't sure if we were supposed to go back to him. I know that Racklin was our contact in the Culinarians Guild, but he wasn't the initial person that put us on this particular mission and got us into the guild to help with the supply gathering.
That is true.
So I was thinking maybe we should be talking to that person since they must have known something.
Sure, that sounds like a good idea.
I like it.
Before we leave Racklin, though, do we want to tell him about our suspicions of a inside mole?
Yes.
All right. We can once again get back to this conversation. I'm assuming a lot of this can happen like while you guys are walking up there and stuff. There's plenty of time for planning and chit chat. I love that we've had two side things in the middle of Racklin has said like 2 lines.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. By all means, I would way rather you guys have a firm handle on everything going on.
I was thinking before we spilled our guts to Racklin, maybe we should remember that he wasn't like our initial contact. But but if we know that he can be trusted, then I think it would be
Getting
fine.
strong.
I wouldn't share every detail, but I think it would be fine to let him know that
I feel like we're
have
giving strong NPC vibes to Racklin. We walk in, he says 2 words, and we just walk out.
We just immediately go into an intense conversation where our lips are moving but no noise is coming out.
Right.
I like to think that's how it's going down.
So I guess we'll bring Racklin in and give him the details of like we think someone in the Culinarians Guild is paying an assassin to kill Primrose and give him all the information we have and our clues and ask him if he has any insight on that.
I would probably not want to provide all of that information, but I would definitely. So I guess we could just have the conversation, right? Like.
Yeah, let's just have a conversation.
Yeah, just have the conversation. I'm not good at talking.
Racklin,
Yeah, let's have the conversation.
While we were in, that was the section of the story where we were in Satir, right?
Yep.
So while we were in Satir, we came across some very concerning information that indicates someone within the Culinarians Guild has been doing some very unsavory things and regarding importing and exporting goods, and we're trying to get to the bottom of it, and we were wondering if you had any leads. The concerning information that we received from the guard, and I guess I'll just gesture to Holden and Tyrus because that was kind of their thing, their group. The proof that we received indicates that it has to be one of the top people within the Culinarians Guild, because they would have had to have access to resources to be able to get this done.
He, as you started talking about it, it started giving you a more and more quizzical look. Ooh, I have just the thing for this. Oh man, you guys are not prepared for how prepared for this I am.
Please tell me you have him with one eyebrow raised. Nice!
His token also got a little bigger, and you know what? I'm going with that too. He starts like a little confused, and by the end of it is genuinely shocked. When you finish talking, he's kind of like looking back and forth, like he's trying to assemble some notes. He's, okay, all right. First, before I get into anything more meaty than this, I need you to know that I am here specifically to help you, and I appreciate that this is a sensitive issue, but by all means, you absolutely could and should have told me this as soon as possible.
Well, we didn't know if we could trust you, and we needed to make sure that we guarded the information and delivered it in person in case any of our communications were being monitored. I hope that you can appreciate our discretion.
He, you know what? For just a second, he turns away, as if looking off into the distance, and says, well, I understand the need for discretion. And it is a sensitive topic. I hope that as we go forward, you will find that you can trust me on whatever you need. But I do suppose that given you were looking for someone within the Culinarians Guild, it would make sense if you didn't trust someone in the Culinarians Guild. So,
Especially not someone with such high standing that understands the intimate workings within the guild. You have access to a lot of information and a lot of people, and a lot of communication comes through you. So we just had to make sure that you weren't abusing the information you had access to.
I understand. All right. Moving forward. And he sort of claps his wings together, his winged hands, we'll go with that. And you could see a little bit of the life back in his eyes. He's just, so we need to find a mole. Someone high up in the Culinarians Guild. How high up are we talking?
I'll list off the names of our potentials, but with the asterisk that we were with the hunter and we don't necessarily think that he's taken part in it.
I promise I'm not going to do this too many more times, but he is going to have that same look of shock on his face as before.
Did you not expect us to hang out with the hunter?
No, it's more as you go through the list of people.
Oh.
By the time you finish rattling off the 9th name, he definitely has that look on his face and listens to you as you talk about the first hunter. He says, I agree with you. I think that if I remember right, Molo was probably the only person on that list that wasn't, or that hasn't been to Porta Maria since the God's Feast was called. He does this. Travels for months on end and just hunts and sends his spoils through the guild channels. So it does seem safe to eliminate him as a suspect.
Good save.
Is there anyone else on this list that you think could be rightfully eliminated as a suspect as well?
I was just thinking that, and I do think you can eliminate Counselor Harper. She hasn't been in Porta Maria since the God's Feast was called. She was at the meeting we first had when we first met, but I know because I was witness to it that she got on the first ship out of town after that meeting was called and hasn't been back since. She's leading the Nosman refugee and reconstruction effort.
Okay.
Well, our assistance with it. So, by my count, that would leave 7 suspects. Well, I know that the Guildmaster owes you a favor. Last time you were in my office, he mentioned that he was thankful for your help at Open Hands Hall, which I haven't congratulated you for enough yet, so well done on that as well. But you very well could cash that in and see if he will give you access to, at the very least, his testimony, if not everyone's, or maybe at least one or two other culinarians. I would focus on where they were on the night of the explosion, though. I think that's going to be freshest in everyone's mind, and if you can find some inconsistency in their testimony there, especially if you find some evidence to support it, we may be able to use that to, well, I don't know, pin them in a corner, maybe get them to trip up a little bit.
Do you think it's wise for us to use our favor for that if it is Rare, in fact, who's the person we're looking for?
I can't give you a firm answer, but I don't think it's him. And I have two reasons to say that. The first is that I have tremendous respect for the Guildmaster and think that he is a phenomenal figure, but also he's kind of dumb.
Eh?
And he looks over to make sure the door is closed as he says that.
Fair enough.
He is charismatic, and he is certainly a talented chef. But there is a reason that he is so hands-off with guild administration. He is a political figure first and foremost. Now, I wouldn't say that necessarily absolves him. I could be wrong, and he could be playing a long game. I certainly wouldn't bet my career on it or anything. But I also think if you asked him with other people around, say if you asked him while I was here, or if you invited him down to Ranmar and Pelma's kitchen, something tells me that with so many people around, if he was going to make a mistake, you would know immediately.
Might you be able to help us organize that? I definitely like the idea of having the meeting be elsewhere, so Ranmar's probably an excellent location for us to have him meet us.
Of course. I would be more than happy to. He leans back in his chair for a second and brushes up against the paperwork that has been pinning him down. He says, "You have given me quite a bit to think about. I will also see if I can track down the other culinarians, the counselors. Not to probe too deep into where they've been. I don't know if I could get that information. But at the very least, maybe seeing if I could eliminate another suspect or find something that may be of help."
For sure, that would be wonderful.
Great. I will... getting on the Guildmaster schedule. He looks outside and says, would it... We don't have much time. I suppose I will have word sent to you at the earliest that I can get him to Ranmar's lab. How does that sound?
That would be perfect.
Wonderful. I think it goes without saying that everything we've said here stays within this office. And oh goodness, this is perhaps more than I was expecting. But I will always be here to help. Probably right here. So, you guys have a little bit of time on your hands.
Well, let's
If there's anything
procure
else
the
you want to do
bow.
here,
We definitely need to
Yeah.
procure the bow while we're here, so that's our next stop.
okay.
He said he dumb.
Yeah, the best part is has been a thing this whole time. Is like he's very charismatic and not very smart, and it's just never come up until right this second. So I am just going to move some stuff around because I don't think I actually have another scene for the basement. But you're going to travel through the guild hall for a little bit and make your way down to the basement because that is where you guys went to requisitions. And that seems like a really... Oh, why did I do that? That seems like a really good place to find some fresh equipment. Heck, that's where you did it last time.
Sure is.
As you make your way down into the depths of Allers Hall, the first, this place is actually getting kind of busy again. The first time you went down, it was kind of dead because all of the culinarians had left, but there's activity here. And as you walk into the giant underground warehouse that is the requisitions department from last time, it's still dark except for all of the forge lights. It's still loud as metal is colliding with metal, colliding with anvil. And it's still really warm for how dark it is. But there are way more people on both sides of the requisitions counter. On your side, there's probably a good half a dozen people that are handing in forms, handing in things, or looking to get things back for what they've handed in, which was a lovely sentence. And on the other side, there are a few administrators who are handling those requests, and towering above the lot is a particularly large black Minotaur man who has been on the loading screen since session 2 and hasn't spoken up since then.
Is that Geralt?
It is.
And Asha
He's got a lady friend.
is the Minotaur.
Asha is the Minotauress, but you do not see her. She was working the anvil last time and may be doing that right now because she is not at the front desk. Geralt is doing his best, but seems to be kind of overwhelmed. There are a lot of people here. And it's kind of chaos. It's kind of like the day after Thanksgiving or the day after Christmas at the Costco return counter.
Oh.
Like there's like half a dozen people, which isn't nearly as many as there would be in that example, but they are all very pushily asking for, hey, I need this. Hey, you need to do this. Hey, where's my armor piece? Hey, you promised me some pythons. What's going on? And none of the administrators can give you the time of day. Like there isn't even a doorbell ringing to announce that you're here. It's just you are now part of the crowd. I should ask if anybody wants to take action.
I am going to step back toward the entrance with glitch because I feel like since there's so many bodies and there's so much space or so little space that I don't want it to look like I am standing in line also. Just to try to relieve
I also
some of
don't have
that
anything, so I'm
pressure.
gonna stand back.
Okay.
I will
I'm-
look for friendly faces beyond the Minotaur to see if there's anybody like that'll help me cut the line. Because important culinary and guild business.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Is
will,
a okay? Go ahead, Sav.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna help him out.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't need to get notice checks from you. Your perception's fine, and also the cavern opens up. Like there is a counter that boxes you all in, but beyond that is just like endless cavern. You can't actually see the other side because it's dark and far away. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of faces you recognize, and more than that, memory serving you guys right, you met two administrators in the requisitions department, and it was Geralt and Asha, and Asha hated you and everyone else.
I do remember that.
So I don't know if we're gonna like. There are definitely other guild personnel out there. There are other smiths and administrators back there. Finding one that's friendly might be a challenge. Like you see them, they're just busy and taking their frustrations out on Steel.
Then I'll just take a number and wait my turn, perhaps preferring to wait for someone who's not Asha.
Okay. It is a wait. It is rough. It sounds like some orders have gotten mixed up and lost. We're looking at a little over half an hour of a wait.
If possible, can I like sneak my way over and try to get one of the administrators like attention and see if I
Sure.
can help out like with anything like organizing papers and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. Hey, go for it.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Let's see. I'm gonna open your character sheet real fast. Because let's be real. You are not wearing Culinarian's Guild whites.
True.
So this might be a bit of a challenge. But if you like, you can give me any sort of, I could say, stealth or performance or is persuasion a skill? Persuasion, I think, is a skill.
Like if I say that I'm going to like kind of cut the crowd, like have my hand forward and just like make my way through, would that be like an athletics check or?
I think if you tried to make that an athletics check, you would be like risking combat if you screwed it up because you're just like shoulder down football tackling to get to the front of the line.
Okay, so that would be. Then it would have to be performance, I think. Like, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me. Just me putting my hand through. It's like, sorry, excuse me, pardon me. I gotta see something. I gotta get a number, and just like, and just make it. A chainmail person is just like, excuse me, pardon me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make that a performance check.
Fantastic.
Here goes nothing.
Oh yeah, it's the first roll of the night.
Fantastic.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's usually what happens when I try to disguise someone.
Yeah. Listen, Sav, you get through your like first excuse me, and the person in front of you, who honestly kind of just looked like a kind of like mildly annoyed human lady, turns to you with vitriol. And like you have put your hand on her as if to gently push her aside, just as part of that like, excuse me, I'm gonna just get through. And the second you touch her, she goes, "Do not put your hands on me."
Oh, sorry. I'm literally just trying to help out and like try to get your order done so that way my friends can get their order done. I've I know the administrators pretty well.
You know what? I'm going to give you one last roll based on that argument to try and save face, but I'm not saying roll with advantage, but you are at a disadvantage in this conversation.
Oh
He's
no.
gonna roll. He's gonna roll what? Nat 20 now.
Would that be persuasion?
I'll give you persuasion, yeah.
And that's with disadvantage?
No, I'm just saying that you're on the back foot here.
Okay.
It's not looking good for our intrepid hero.
Never
Four.
mind.
Oh,
Uh,
does anyone have
Hey.
an inspiration token? Can you re-roll?
can
You doubled your previous roll.
Yeah?
I did.
Good job.
You're rolling like I roll initiative. She looks down at you, both physically and socially, and says, "I'm sorry. Who did you say you were? Associate? You think there are associates running around here behind the counter? Why did they even let your kind in?"
I look her in the eyes and I I'm thinking of something. Hold on.
Go for the kiss.
I mean,
She's
I
already
wouldn't know.
done it.
Really
Don't do
sad,
strike
but I
three.
don't know how it could get any worse.
Just go in for the kiss. You're at rock bottom. What's the worst that could happen?
Look, lady, I understand your frustrations. I am also frustrated because my friend is trying to get an acquisition, and I can plainly see that everybody's having that problem. I want to be able to at least try to help. There's no point in getting super angry if we can't get anything done. Do you agree with me or not?
He looks at you and holds up a finger and says, "You think you've been waiting here a long time? I've been here for 3 hours, and these idiots can't find a sword from up their own ass. And I am so sick of this and them and this conversation and you. And something tells me that unless you're going to give me that weapon off your back, or his weapon off his back," he points over to Tyrus's axe, "or some other weapon off somebody's back in the next 30 seconds, you have no reason to be talking to me, and you need to get out."
Can I roll to throw my axe at her?
I mean,
You can have
I
my
can't
axe
stop you.
if you pull it out of your dead body.
I want to throw my axe. So what I want to try to do is throw my axe in her general direction and it land in the wall next to her. And I don't see how we can make this situation any worse.
You need to kill her.
What's the worst that could happen? She dies? I mean, I see it as a win-win.
I like that she's a Karen. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
So what should I roll for this?
Good question.
You know what? I'm going to make you roll an attack roll.
Okay.
And it's not going to be against an armor class because effectively you're just attacking the desk or the counter because, she's against a counter. If you don't roll well, it's not going to be a miss. It's going to be a hit in a way that's a problem.
Okay.
Good luck, Tyrus.
Now, since I am throwing, can I use my fighting style archery? I know that doesn't make sense at all, but I'm asking anyways.
Are you going to
'Cause
try
I need-
it from above?
I need all the advantage.
Yeah, I
It's
can't
well,
give you
technically,
that.
fighting style archery is for ranged weapons specifically.
Can you link it?
Because I've been using. That's why I've been using it for.
Well, that didn't do what I wanted it to.
Yeah, that didn't do what I wanted it to either.
I just realized I can just look at your character sheet.
Yeah. Because I've been using it for my guns the entire time. With ranged weapons.
I can't call your axe a ranged weapon.
Even if I'm throwing it from range. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I'm just trying for the best here. I'm
I
trying
know,
for any.
and I'm
Instead
here
of
for you.
diffusing the situation and walking up and saying, "We're just
You know what?
trying to
Let's
help."
just do it. Let's because it's either really. This will be
YOLO.
either really cool or really not cool.
Let's do it.
16. So minus the
Hey,
2.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
I forgot to undo that.
Okay. Well, so Sav is just short of getting a pointer finger directly on his solar plexus. When Tyrus unsheaths his great axe and gives it like only a couple rotations because it's that big and doesn't fly very fast, but it does go right between the two of them and thunk its way right into the wooden counter. I'm going to tell you right now, all of the chaos that's been going on for the last, we'll say this is about like 20 minutes in, all of that stops.
They're gonna want to get us.
And
out of here
she
so
looks-
quickly.
She looks at you with the devil eyes, but doesn't say anything initially.
I'm just gonna tell her to shove that up her ass and get the fuck out of here.
I'm gonna leave with Glitch.
You know what? Could you give me an intimidation roll, and I'm going to give you advantage and also extra bonuses behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Okay.
as a surprise.
All right, 19.
Okay. That is enough that she doesn't hesitate and books it right past the group and out the door. And also, most of the other people that are here vacate the room very quickly. There's like one person that looks like maybe he is too scared and slinks off into the corner along with the administrator that he was talking to who's on the other side of the counter, and they just like back away from you guys. But weirdly, yeah, that seemed to do the job.
Hey, front of the line.
I go up to the front counter. I go, "Are you guys okay? Like, do you guys need any help organizing?"
Daryl, at this point, is free. Looks at you and says, I really feel like I should be upset about this, but let me tell you, I just can't be.
Well, I tried to get through, but this weird lady with really short hair was just yelling at me, pointing her finger at me, and just very angry. I guess she had been here for like 3 hours, I take it?
Yeah, and I've been listening to her for 3 hours now. Wow, thank you for that.
You can
Ooh.
you can honestly thank Tyrus over there. He aimed correctly.
Yeah. Brazen. And as you retrieve your axe, and, you know, hey, I like this counter. If you wouldn't mind in the future sparing it. But I can't deny, man, that made my day. Oh, well, everything's so much better. Well, what can I do for you? We have met. You seem familiar. That axe seems familiar. And I know that shield. Oh, yeah, I remember that shield.
Hello again. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Hold on. I gotta... Ooh, my sister's gonna want to see this. Hey, Asha! Get over here! He looks back into the darkness and just waves at him, or waves at it, and it takes about 2 or 3 seconds, but you guys all see. I mean, it must just be slag, but a giant hunk of metal, the size of a football, goes soaring right over his head. He looks at that metal and says, she's busy. Yeah, I'll have to bring her that back at some point. Anyway, I know why I recognize you. You, would you believe you were the only people who were smart enough to take pythons from me? I knew I recognized a face. How could I forget? Be real with me. How great was it to have him?
Life changing.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. I tell you, things like that, people always forget them. But that's the stuff that'll save the day.
That
All right. So, what can I do for you? The counter's yours.
I'm gonna just look up and down the length of the counter and tell him, since it seems like they're not terribly busy just now, inquire about upgrading this contraption that I've built. I have a fiery organ. It's not the Arrow Flame Stone. What was it called?
It was the Fang from the Horifex.
Was told that it might be able to give combustion-like properties to this weapon. We have the requisite token. What do you think?
He looks at crossbow for way longer than he looks at Horifex flank or Horifex. I've been saying Horifex flank for so long, I just screwed that up. At Fang, he says, "Oh yeah, we can do something." I mean, this is a classic case. Listen, we get a lot of hunters that come through here and ask questions very similar to this, so no problem that we can do it. I just need to check with you because this got to make sure that the customer's happy. Are you looking for an enchantment on the crossbow, or are you looking for ammunition? Because I can make a pretty strong set of explosive arrows, or I can add something to the crossbow, but it's not going to be nearly as effective.
I think I'd prefer adding something to the crossbow. It already uses pocket dimension technology to manufacture its own bolts, but if we could empower those bolts, that would just be fantastic.
Okay, yeah, well, hey, that's what we're here for. Let's see. I'm going to need to take your information down. If I could get your name and, yeah, you're an associate, so I'm going to need to know who your administrator is. Contact in case of an emergency and all that. I know someone just texted, but I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have to laugh at that joke in a few seconds because I'm at my chili pot. And he just starts going into the standard operating procedure of here is what I'm going to need from you. He doesn't actually ask for requisitions credits.
Believe for me.
He, as part of that, he mentions that we accept requisitions credits for when you're just asking for things, like if you're just putting in an order because you want something. But if you bring in your own materials, it's not much skin off our back to beat them into a weapon or something. And to his credit, that's pretty much how it went when Sav got his shield. Was you provided Umberwelk pieces, and they were like, "Sweet, we'll make you a shield, no problem."
Oh, that's true.
I think we may have even had the same conversation of, "Well, do I need to pay credits too?" And I was like, "Nah."
Are there any credits needed? Like, is there any way to upgrade it in addition to the materials that we're providing? Like, do they have a special
Well, yeah.
scope they would recommend? I'm not there. I'm just asking.
They can use credits to do things like that, but usually they are used to purchase new gear.
Mm-hmm.
Usually through that list of stuff that I've shown you, or I mentioned you can just buy magical items. Like if you just want, like, I want a +1 hammer. A little boring, but we can do it.
Should we
I'm
get
only
Mira?
interested in getting the crossbow upgraded at this point. If anybody else wants something, and we're not going to utilize that credit that we earned, somebody else should get something while we're here.
I believe
I was
Sav
gonna
had
suggest,
his
should we-
eye on something. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Should we get
Yeah.
Mira something that isn't a kazoo?
Hey,
That is
I
true.
like my
Maybe like
kazoo.
a support. I know, but like maybe something else that's more useful.
If there's anything
I
that
mean-
will give me more heals or that I can use to heal people or protect people from afar would probably be a good
Yes, here it
investment.
is. Pitch pipe of healing +1.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, the last time she like tried to use the kazoo, she used it in the dream,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess I think we heard it from outside the dream.
But it doesn't actually. It
Uh,
didn't actually do anything.
It didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Oh. Well,
Hey,
damn.
while
It
we're
made
at the
it made a good toot.
like magical weapons guy, maybe we should ask him about the kazoo.
Hey, what does the
Oh.
kazoo do, actually?
I mean, yeah, you mention it either in discussion or actually bringing it up to him, and oh, hey, I can look at that joke now.
You asked who our provisioner was.
Great.
Now you're sad you
I-
looked at it.
You know what? I will give credit. Geralt snickers, but definitely seems like he acknowledges the joke. So when you bring up the banjo, he goes, "Oh, you were the ones that grabbed that. I was wondering. Well, fantastic. Afraid I can't tell you what it does. That's half the reason we put it up so cheap, but yeah, my sister couldn't figure it out, and I blew in it a couple times and couldn't figure it out. It's definitely magical. We just don't know what it does. Don't worry, I cleaned it pretty thoroughly, though. Gotta be respectful. Oh, that chili is very hot. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Oh, right. It had been on the stove for an hour. Okay.
I like
Well,
to think
now
that that they're also eating chili.
You know what? I can give them that. There's some chili nearby.
This is the first time they've had a break in hours. So maybe
Yeah.
they are having lunch.
Yeah. So he responds with, I don't know. In fact, I've re-looked at the tooltips, and from what you can see, the requisition order flat out is from Geralt, and he says, "Yeah, my sister and I don't know what this thing does." So Yeah, he does not have any more information for you at the moment. Sorry. That being said, did you guys have enough for the weapon that Sav wanted, or are we just looking at stuff for Mira?
I mean, I think you can look. You can certainly look at Sav's weapon, and if there's something that would benefit the group, you can get it, and I can hold on to it. But only if there's something that would benefit the group. I don't. She's got enough
I'll tell you
magic
what.
spells that I don't know that there's
That's
anything
true.
else.
You mentioned at one point that you were looking for, hey, something that can buff my support
Mhm.
magic. He, as he's listening to you, he says, well, I don't know if I have anything currently up for requisitions, but I think we were just about to update with some new gear that we'd found. So, listen, give me a little bit of time and check with requisitions, I don't know, next couple days. I'll see what I can do for you, and I'll see if I can dig something up that might be of use for you. Does that
Nice.
sound fair?
That's perfect.
We'll call it like halfway to a custom order. As for you, Holden, he says some of this stuff while he's working on what looks to be paperwork, and when he's done, he says, "All right, I'll just need to hold on to this for. I think an enchantment like this, we're looking at something about 2 days. Is that okay?"
I was taken to believe it could be done much quicker. Is there a
Yeah.
more skilled smith I could speak to?
Yeah. You want to try and tell my sister that you need a more skilled smith? The more responsible, customer forward answer is, you just told me that this thing does pocket dimension magic, and we're adding a new enchantment to it. I'm saying 2 days so that we don't accidentally mess this thing up and bag of holding ourselves.
Fair enough. That
He
is
nods.
within plenty of time for the feast, right?
Yep.
I'm basically useless without it, so.
He nods and says, "Oh yeah, if you're looking for the feast timing, don't worry, we'll have it far before then."
Excellent, thank you.
He nods and hands it off to the third administrator, who was definitely eating chili, and says, "No, be careful. Hey, I like these guys. I like this crossbow. Get this to Asha, and don't tell her anything. Just hand it to her, give her the form, back away slowly. Don't make eye contact.
Try not to get chili on it.
Yeah, don't wipe your hands off." I don't know why this dude was eating chili with his hands, but whatever. So yeah, if you have any other business, let me know. Otherwise, what's the plan?
I was noticing something on the requisitions in the requisitions department section.
Mm-hmm.
Mira, do you use any shadow damage at all?
Oh. Let me look at my spells. Not really. That would be more like
Okay.
Morithos, I think.
Yeah. I'm like trying to see if there's anything that like would amplify or help out with some of like any damaging spells or anything, and that one caught my eye, but that also it also like heals you. I was looking at the Harvester's Crook.
Mm.
I like the picture of bubbly, jovial Mira with this enormous, soul-sucking scythe.
Oh wait, Oh wait. If you roll a 6, regardless of how much damage you would heal, you may instead restore 1 spell slot. Oh, but that's if you have shadow damage. Never mind.
Do you already have dark vision on Holden? The shadow reach is pretty awesome. As like a weapon.
Yeah, hey, we haven't talked about these in a while, but I'm put a lot of love and care into these weapons.
It's a pretty cool axe. The Twin Wolf axe.
Mhm.
That's a wait. Shadow
I guess I can say
Reach
it.
is a trident, right?
I can delete new off of the Twin Wolf axe. It's been a while.
I mean, the seeds are pretty amazing, but I am not sure at the end of our travels that that's banjo. Don't sell my
For some reason,
banjo.
no, that's probably why, because it was there and we sold it. But yeah, if for some reason that was not in the requisitions department available to you guys, so yeah, now you guys can see it. That's important.
Yeah.
I'm just taking the new off of everything that was there from last time. I'm not taking gently used off. That's funny.
Yeah. What about the Stark bow? Can I inquire about the bow?
What do you? Oh, yeah. Hey, yeah, we've still got that thing.
What's that all about?
It's been here for a little bit. I think the previous owner maybe didn't repair the thing very well or something. It's missing something. He walks pretty close to a nearby shelf and picks up a magical bow. And he holds it in front of you, but string first. And he says, if you take a look at it, you can see this string is like a really dark purple. I think there were other strings that were supposed to be here. And he shows you like kind of the end of the bow where it strings, and there are several notches. He says, I think there's something missing, but I don't know. I feel like you'd have to find some way to fix this thing up. Like, this is on its own. This is not a tremendously impressive bow.
It kind of reminds me of like a lute or something.
He says, well, I think that might be the first time this bow has ever been called lute, but we've got it here. If you're interested in, we'll call this a project piece.
How many requisition tokens do we have total?
24.
Sounds right to me.
I currently have it in my notes that you have 2. So
not
just a little
four.
off.
You're missing the 4 on that, I think.
That means you were half right.
Well, a rapier costs 2, right?
Yeah. Or
Oh, I don't need it. I just thought that was actually a pretty cool item.
yeah. I was looking at it too, and it's like a pretty cool magic weapon.
I liked it specifically because if Mira ends up in melee, then something has gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Mhm.
because she has
Yeah.
no hit points for that. So Thunder Wave or that rapier would actually be the only ways I could get out of it without dying.
Well, let me know if you're in the market, he says. But unless you're planning on going to an arena somewhere, I don't imagine you got too much going on. Last minute hunt or something?
I mean, we do have the God's Feast going on.
Yeah, but I don't know what you're expecting from that feast, but I don't expect too many fights to break out.
Well,
Especially, I know who the guest of honor is. I don't want to fight him.
well, can't be too Oh, and I pull out the mandible. Is there anything that we can do with this?
Remind me with a mandible.
That was the mandible
Oh.
from the big thorn beast,
From the Gravethorn.
the great thorn. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. I think I can get something nice out of this. The only ever time I've seen Gravethorn stuff, I saw plate. Well, he sizes you up and says, I'll tell you what, I could probably fuse these thorns into that thinking cap of yours, turn it into a nice headpiece. Or I could probably put it onto. Well, actually, I could probably fuse these onto the head of their axe. And he nods over to the notch in his counter. Maybe sharpen that up a little bit more. I mean, really, how embarrassing was it that you threw that axe that hard and it didn't go through my counter?
Oh, snap.
Well, we just needed to make a point.
And you did. So I think that's my two best suggestions. You're looking for something a little bit more defensive, or something a little spikier.
What do you think, Tyrus?
Well, I wouldn't mind having a sharper axe.
I think doing more damage would be pretty good. Let's put it on the axe.
All right. Well, same as before. I'm gonna need you to fill out a few forms for me, and
Already
we-
filling them out.
and I'm gonna need to borrow your axe. I'll probably give you the same time frame. It won't be as challenging, but I can get them. I can aim to get them both back to you in a couple days, if that's all right.
Sounds good.
Mikhail Hunt.
He gets a good look at that axe, and he's mildly impressed for it not being a magical axe. But he says, "Yeah, well, all right, I'll take this one over myself. I'm out of minions, and we'll get this back to you as quick as we can. I'll send word when all of this is ready." Anything else before I get to work? Oh, and can you hand me that slag? I gotta hand these things off.
Hands over the slag.
Fantastic. All right. It sounds like you guys, yeah. It sounds like you covered most of the bases down here. Where to from here? It's probably like about 1:30 in the afternoon.
have we should go back and check in at Ranmars and see if there's been any update on when Rare is coming to meet with us. And then should we don the costumes, at least a couple of us, and go out and see what the followers are doing? Maybe do a little recon.
Sounds like a good idea.
Sure.
Okay. I was completely on board with all of that until I heard the slamming sound. Okay. Well, for the sake of serendipity and the fact that, yeah, sure, that seems fine. About like 10 minutes after you guys leave the guild hall, a page runs up to you. This child is probably like 13 or 14. But you see a Culinarians Guild pin on his lapel, and he just hands you a folded up note that is Racklin saying that the guildmaster is on his way to Ranmars.
Running to Ranmars.
You guys arrive to Ranmar's lab, and Ranmar and Pelna are roughly where you left them in that they are still working on things. And I should probably close this rainbow. I've just been looking at a picture of the rainbow rapier for the last like 10 minutes.
It's pretty.
Let us scoot you guys back to Ranmar's lab, which is a scene I've used a lot this campaign. And yeah, you guys arrive, and Ranmar and Pelna give you a wave, but Pelna barely gets out. So what have you, before you hear a very polite knock on the door? And now Ranmar is confused and comes down from his combustion pot. A few seconds later, like almost like clockwork, the guildmaster comes in and shortens his nameplate so that we can read it. There we go. Gosh, I love these nameplates. Sometimes they get out of hand. Looking at you, Ranmar. When Rare enters, he enters it with a grace that is so practiced that at this point it looks like he is just naturally floating on air. It looks like all the way down to the flow of his cloak is practiced. And when the door gently closes behind him, the last tip of cloth has just barely snuck through. He has a smile on his face that is equally practiced, and he says, "Well, I was hoping that I would get to see you again, and it warms my heart that it's so soon after our last visit. I hope I find you well, adventurers. And you, Ranmar, it's been some time. You should spend more time up at Allers Hall. We would love to have you. Pelna, well, I just saw you the other day, and it already feels like it's been far too long." She was already seeming in better spirits than before, but to anybody that looks, you don't even need to make an insight check. She tries in vain to hide that there's a little smile on her face.
I think Foob has done such
So-
a great job negotiating with people that we should just let him throw his axe at Rare and see how it goes.
Oh boy.
And it'll be sharp. Oh wait, no, it's in acquisitions.
Yeah. He's got a hand axe. I looked at his
I do
character
have a
sheet.
hand axe. I could
That
He's
is-
got a
throw
backup.
that.
And that does have range.
He just takes
Doesn't
it
it?
out and is tapping the flat side on his hand. Well, well, well.
Swear to me.
All right, listen, I've already got an in-universe Batman. I don't know if I can afford two. Foob's gonna end up like the guy that gets captured at the beginning of the second Batman.
You have a Batman, but do you have a Red Hood?
I don't have a Red Hood.
And then he looks right at Fubarius and says, "I'm not wearing hockey pads."
So Rare turns to the lot of you and says, Racklin offered me a most generous invitation. Said that there were adventurers here that wished to speak with me and, well, specifically hinted that it was your group and that you had something important to the guild that you wanted to discuss. But he said that it was otherwise a mystery. So I am intrigued. I do love a good mystery. So please, Mr. Me,
Who's gonna take the lead?
You.
Your role is best should it come to that, so it makes sense. But
Okay.
Don't worry. I'll back you up with an axe if need be.
I'll back you up with my words.
Excellent. Okay. We were hoping for an opportunity to speak with you privately. Not about your car's extended warranty. You guys couldn't hear him because he wasn't using his foot pedal.
thank you for sharing that, though.
You're
That was
very
important.
welcome. We asked you here because we have encountered some information in our travels that leads us to believe that things might not be exactly what they seem. And since you seemed very open to helping us in exchange for the help that we've provided, we were hoping that we might be able to speak with you candidly about some somewhat uncomfortable topics.
A candid conversation does sound appealing. He reaches over and pulls over one of the bar stools, and you can tell he makes an effort to sit in a relaxed way on a bar stool, and it lasts for like 2 seconds before his spine straightens. But he certainly seems like he does his best. He says, I'm all ears. Please. I should have you know if there is information about something that could help the guild, there is nothing that I won't do to help.
Well, before we begin, can I interest you in any refreshments? Trying to put him at ease.
Now that I think about it, Pelna, I do believe that you gifted me with a few bottles of. She nods, and I know exactly what you're in the mood for. I'll be right back. And within seconds, has a fairly large glass of wine on the bar next to him. He takes a quick smell and a sip. Pelna, you are a gift. Well, I should apologize. I was not properly briefed on to whom I'm speaking. Outside that you are Team 23 for the God's Feast. But I believe I've introduced myself as the Guildmaster Rare. May I get your names?
Yes, my name is Mira. Of course, you know Ranmar and Pelna, who are the culinarians that we've been assisting. My
Mhm.
fellow traveling companions are Holden and his dog Glitch, Tyrus, and Rayun.
Wonderful. It is a pleasure to meet all of you. I don't know how many of you are from my city, but I appreciate the work that you do for the feast, and I hope that we have made a good enough impression outside what you may have seen out at Open Hands Hall, and that you will consider staying around, maybe even participating in the Tournament of Steel coming up soon. Once the Telemar feast is taken care of.
We can certainly see about that, but what we're most concerned about now is we've come to believe through some information that we've gathered in our travels to Satir that a high-ranking member of the Culinarian Guild has been performing illegal activities regarding importing and exporting that go as far as taking the lives of people that don't deserve it. And we've come to know and enjoy working with a number of people within the Culinarians Guild, and it's our understanding that that doesn't represent a majority of your members. However, even one member with these tendencies can cause issues, especially with an important event like the feast coming up. And we have reason to believe that they could take additional actions potentially against feast guests themselves.
When you start mentioning that or that people are, that there is potentially someone doing illegal stuff, you see him take a sip and then put his glass down, and just the ever so slightest cough escapes his throat. He composes himself, though, almost immediately again, and says, I have to admit that I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. And that's not to say that I plan on playing dumb. However, you may be talking about the unfortunate death of Culinarian Razmi. Or you may be talking about some of the cleanup work that's been happening as a result of it. I'm afraid I will need you to clarify that before I go any further.
Unfortunately, it's not just the death of Culinarian Razme that we've encountered. We worked with the Satir Guard, and there have been a string of attacks against import businesses involving quite awful murders. And there's been a string of them that can be traced back to activities by a member of the Culinarian Guild. I don't know if the Culinarian was involved in any of these activities, but I do know that these deaths are taking place outside of that incident.
Well, that has clarified things, though not in the way that I would have hoped. We have a few culinarians within the guild that handle things. And I tend not to ask questions, but there's only one now. I don't suppose it's any harm. It's a fairly well-known secret. Counselor Gogra quite often ventures out into the city and sometimes beyond to handle business that may otherwise tarnish the guild's reputation. I could see a world where maybe he was a suspect for Razmi's death. It was very brutal. But Gogra hasn't left the island quite some time. Of this I'm confident. If he was responsible for any deaths overseas, he would have to be a far better wizard than than I think he's capable of.
So if he's protecting the interests of the Culinarian Guild, who is giving him those orders to take action on? Is that something you're doing?
Rarely. And he does smile a little bit. I've found the best way to handle someone of Gogra's position is to impart on them an overwhelming amount of trust.
Is that
And
trust deserved?
I would think so. He not only has proven himself to be a surprisingly adept politician, diffusing a number of fairly large international incidents, but also, if I remember right, you did witness him. He mentioned that he ran into some adventurers, which is how I found you. While you, well, some of you, he points to Rain and Tyrus. He says, while you were saving lives in Open Hands Hall. While I don't keep a record of what he does, I am fairly confident that Gogra is the most dishonorably honorable man you could meet.
And where were
If that
you
makes
during
sense.
the explosion?
Well, before the attack, I was entertaining the Herald Savi, and Counselor May was there. We were having dinner. I'll admit, they were talking about something religion, and I've learned that there are certain subjects that I just can't get my head around. And I cannot express to you how difficult I find the subject of satiri tithes or something. So I was just playing host, serving wine, smiling, laughing at a joke here or there. I don't think that the Herald likes me very much. But I know that she likes May. Those two have bonded a little.
May must not have a sense of humor because I tried to tell her a joke before and it did not go well.
He kind of blanches when you say that. Says, "Oh, I am sorry that you interacted with her and that it didn't go well. But that does line up with my interactions with her, yes. Devoted to her god, but perhaps at the cost of enjoying her own life." Yeah. When the explosion happened, May and I hurried to Open Hands Hall, and we got there fairly quickly. When we arrived, I saw that Chkel and Gogra were already on hand. I took command from there. I took over the culinarians that were helping put out the fire at Open Hands Hall, and I believe May went in the opposite direction and started handling the onlookers, keeping the crowd quiet. If I remember right... Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
If I remember right, Chikella was handling the medical team, but almost immediately I saw Gogra. Just gave him enough of an indication that he ran back into the hall and did that many times. I lost count of how many times he went in and out of Open Hands Hall to rescue survivors. At some point he had enough. I don't know if he ran out of survivors or if he just ran out of vigor, but something caused him to spill onto the grass, and Chikel and Messelir, was she there? I think yes, Messelir may have helped with getting Gogra to the infirmary. But I stayed until the embers went cold, until the sun went up. Open Hands Hall is my greatest project and gift to the city, and I intend to give it. I will rebuild that hall from the foundation if I must.
So we've talked about Messelir, Gogra, and May. Uh,
Mhm.
Where were counselors Chikel, Ramen, and Harpin?
Yes. Well, I mentioned Chikel was at the Open Hands Hall as well. He was leading he was organizing the medics. Pelna, you worked with Chikel that night, right? She nods. Yes, he was instrumental in keeping calm in a situation where there were many wounded that did not want to keep calm. He nods and says, it bears mention that I'm also thankful to Pelna for her efforts. And Ranmar for his water lentils. A beautiful bit of culinarian's talent. As for the others, Harpin is off the island. She's been leading our efforts in Nazma. And to no one's surprise, she has done an absolutely wonderful job of representing Nazman and Portamarian interests. I could not be more proud of her. To my knowledge, I'm not actually sure where Ramhen is. Huh.
When was the last time you saw him?
That must have been weeks ago. I know he was at the announcement of the feast. We had all of the guild counselors there. But I don't know if I've seen him since. Well, that's interesting. I should see what he's up to.
What was his name again? I didn't catch it.
Ramhen.
Ramhen.
Well, he's hard to miss. He stands out a bit. He is also certainly the oldest member of the council.
And what of First Hunter, Molo?
Molo is a phenomenal hunter. He is maybe the best hunter I've ever seen. He is not as good at running a wing of the Culinarians Guild. So he has the title, but we don't see too much of him. In fact, I don't think I've seen him since before the commencement of the festivities.
And
that being...
Oh, please.
Go ahead. Well, unlike with Ramhen, I don't feel that same need to look into where Molo is. He will show up at some point, and he will have, I don't know, a dragon's spine or a flank of some six-legged horse or something. And that's sort of clockwork. I have no doubt I will run into him at some point soon.
And who else would have unfettered access to the finances of the Culinarian Guild to be able to acquire the resources needed to take the actions that are being taken in other areas on behalf of the guild.
He shakes his head a little bit, says, I couldn't say for certain. I tried to keep my head out of the financial affairs. Like I said, avoiding things where I know I'm not skilled. You would likely have to ask Mulholland about that. Lead Administrator Mulholland. She is... well... I may be the face of the Culinarians Guild, but she is certainly the one that keeps the guild running on the inside. There's a reason she's lead administrator, and very likely will be for the rest of her, my, and everyone else's lives.
Do you think you would be able to set up a private meeting with us so that we could speak with her and ask her questions if you're okay with us pursuing this investigation?
He gives you a bit of a quizzical look for just a second. If you could give me an insight check, and since I'm not a computer, if you wouldn't mind telling me what that number is.
You got it. All right. My insight roll is a 20.
Dang. Yeah, when he gives you that look, it's actually sort of like, really, that's it? Like some of his other looks, it only lasts for a split second before his neutral smiling expression comes back. But when it does, he says, I would be more than happy to set up a meeting with Mulholland. I think, if I'm being honest, better you than me. She is a serious type.
And might you...
That being said... okay.
Oh, please.
I think you may be selling yourself short. I am happy to meet with you, of course. But being the guildmaster does have its privileges. If you like, I could have everyone meet with you, or give you free access to everyone.
Having
In fact,
individual meetings would actually be phenomenal. We can use
in
this
fact,
as our meeting space.
I'm not even going to ask. I'm simply going to say, with your permission, I would like to bring you on board as we'll say, a contractor. You would work for me, well, you would work for the guild. I understand that I am still a suspect, but I would be able to give you unfettered access. If you work for me, then you work for the head of the guild. Would you be amenable to that?
We absolutely would, with the understanding that we'd prefer to keep exactly the details of what we're looking at under wraps, because we certainly don't want the person that has been causing this trouble to find out and either get out of Dodge or find better ways to cover their tracks.
Of course. Well, I don't think anybody's going to be leaving town anytime soon. We have a feast in 4 days, and with the exception of Harpin, she's been given clemency because she is on the other side of the world. The others are not allowed to miss this event.
Well, then Ramhin should be easy to find.
Yes, I think so. This may be asking quite a bit, and feel free to tell me if I've overstepped my bounds, but if you wouldn't mind checking up on him as well. It may be best to find the counselors in their offices or wherever they happen to be. It will reduce suspicion. If I'm sending them across town, then they will be on alert for why they've been sent here. Not that I think there's anything wrong with your lab, Ranmar.
Makes sense. Will you be able to provide us with a list of those locations?
He waves his hand and summons up some parchment and a quill, like casually, like he's flicking a light switch, and starts writing down, not just giving you like an idea of where everything is, although also you probably have a pretty good idea of where everything is just by the nature of you've been in the guild hall and their offices are pretty pronounced. Like there are signs around saying Counselor Gogur's office and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what he also gives you is an extra piece of parchment that has his signature on it and flat out says that the bearer of this parchment, and lists your names, are under the employ of the Culinarians Guild for the specific task of ensuring Port to Marian safety for the purpose of the God's Feast.
I'm adding it to my inventory because that was one of the things I was going to ask for.
Credentials. I don't have a handout for that right now, but
perfect.
I am sure I will be able to put something together that almost has all of those words as soon as I can remember them.
Perfect. I'm going
Every
to
once in a while, I have to watch the VODs too.
look to the group and ask if there's anything they'd like to add or any additional information that they would like from the guildmaster while he is kind enough to grace us with his presence.
Do you know who is in charge of the cutlery for the feast?
All right, sorry, did you ask him that, or are you telling Mira?
I'm asking that.
He gives you a bit of an odd look when you ask. He says, well, I will be honest, I don't think I had gotten that far in planning. I also doubt that Mulholland would have gotten that far, but mostly because the nature of the feast is it's going to be 30 courses over the course of a day. Each of the counselors and myself will be presenting a dish, plus all of the teams will be presenting a dish. So I imagine that we're going to be going through quite a bit of cutlery that day. It might be something Mulholland would know about, but I can't be certain.
Well, good enough answer.
We
For right
can
now, at least.
add that to our list, and Mulholland will be our first stop.
Any chance there's any pending legislation that would decriminalize child abduction? Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
He looks very confused. This is the sort of humor that I've come to expect from adventurers. And please don't take this the wrong way, because I do find it funny, but also a little bit strange.
That's fair.
Well, if you have no more questions for me,
Oh no, I lost comms.
the other counselors know to expect you to come by for the purposes of the feast safety. Security. We'll go with that. He stands up, and even though he takes a very small sip of wine and hasn't touched it pretty much since the pour, it's gone. Just that whole glass is empty. He puts on a very warm smile and says, Pale Knight, your hospitality continues to surpass expectations, and I can't wait to see all of you again. Please, for the sake of my city, help me with this.
We'll do what we
And
can.
safety and satiation to all of you. he gives you a very deep bow, and swoops his way right out the door with the same practiced steps as before. Before I forget, I'm going to give you all something.
Ooh.
And I don't think this part's going to work.
It worked.
Oh my gosh, did something happen when I clicked that button?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
Oh my god, I've been clicking on that button, hoping that you guys would see handouts and pop-ups and stuff since we started this campaign.
It worked.
Man. Oh, that's so good. That is just a transcript of the bullet points from Rare's
Perfect.
Rare's accounting of what happened that night.
Okay.
At the at the risk of playing my hand too much, when you talk to people, you might get other transcripts from them based on their accounts. And as I think it was Ranmar's, nope, I did it again. As Racklin suggested, maybe finding some
Piece
inconsistencies
them all together. Yeah.
would help you identify whose story isn't quite lining up. The Cosmos said to you gently.
Excellent.
And Pelna still has a very sweet smile on her face, and Ranmar is both starstruck and kind of annoyed. He says, well, that was definitely not what I was expecting from a guildmaster's visit. He's right, though. It has been some time since I've been up to Allers Hall. I am getting low on supplies.
Feel like doing a little recon for us?
I suppose I could. I was really hoping to get some supplies, though. Pelna flat out, like, smacks him with the back of her hand. No, Ranmar. The guildmaster was saying that you needed to get out and talk to people. Yes, well, there is a world-ending crisis on hand, and I think the best way to handle that is over the stove. So, I will continue to be over the stove until I'm needed elsewhere. Like, for example, apparently, doing reconnaissance work.
A watched pot and all of that.
Ooh, that's a good point. Pelna, you will need to watch my combustion pot. She actually rolls her eyes and nods a little and says, I know. You told me all 5 things that can go wrong. I have them memorized. I will keep an eye on your combustion pot. He says, yes, but what about, yes, if the seal turns red, then I need to release the pressure or it will explode. It says, very well. I suppose I can leave it behind for just a minute. What kind of reconnaissance work were you expecting from me, though?
I'm gonna look around at the group. Anyone?
Keep eyes and ears open.
The best type of
You'll
reconnaissance work.
Kick up dirt, make sure that everything that you're watching makes sense to you. And if it doesn't, report back to us.
Oh, and see if you
Yeah.
can find some information about where Romhan might be and when he was last seen. And where.
All right. I will do my best. No guarantees on Ramhen, though. He tends to be by appointment only. You might have better luck than I will. He looks to Pelna once more and says, I'm just going upstairs to clean up before I go into town. I know how you get on me about things like this. She gives him a pleasant smile, and then turns to the lot of you and says, So, I would offer to help, but I do need to keep eyes on the little ones that we've got still.
And the combustion pot.
Red means dead.
It'll be fine. He's just touchy.
What can you tell us
But
about the people that we're going to go and meet with individually? About their personalities? You know each of us. Are there some who you think might be more open to hearing from one of us than the others? Do you have recommendations for how to approach? Who we should be frank with?
She puts her hand on her chin and like gives an imaginary beard a couple strokes. Says, let's see. Well, for starters, Mulholland reminds me a lot of you, Holden. Very serious, very down to business. Probably not interested in talking too much. I wonder if she has a mechanical dog. I wonder if she wants a mechanical dog.
I'm sure something can be worked out. Thank
Ooh,
you.
I just had a gift idea. Let's see. Actually, well, if I'm just pairing you up with counselors, Tyrus, you are definitely a Gogra type. He and I don't get along too much.
Does he
That's a
like
shame.
throwing axes to solve problems?
Yes, he does.
He's a man
Very
of action.
much.
He's a man of action.
I
Oh
like
dear.
it. Action. I'm putting that in my notes.
Let's see. It's a shame that we don't have Harp in here because Mira, you could throw an island-wide party, just the two of you. Actually, Ray and you might get along with Mesalier. I think you would do okay. You two would make good friends. Not much more.
Mesalier, huh?
But she handles a lot of the new talent and is very patient with them in a way that I respect. And I think that you two would share that. As for the others, they are all wonderful people. They are.
Before you commit to that, one of them's a murderer.
What?
Oh, no. Oh, Holden.
Yeah, you guys never told these two.
Nope.
Well, I thought they were I thought they were in the room. To be honest,
They've
They
been
were.
in the room.
Well,
the entire
yeah,
time, right?
yes, but also Mira kind of danced around what actually happened.
I did. I was not
They're
explicit.
So,
murderer, quote
so
unquote.
But, I mean, weren't they just in here when we were interviewing?
Yeah,
Blair
but
this
you
entire
like
time? We
you
recounted the entire story of our campaign. They were just fingers and ears?
no. Mira like definitely danced around the subject and was like, "Yeah, we think there's some like illegal criminal activity,
No, I
and
did
it might
say
be
that they
a
were
death."
taking lives.
She talked about heinous murders.
I did.
She did. She did
No.
say
We'll have to roll back the tape on it. I'm pretty sure
No,
I
it's
talked
fine.
about the deaths.
You
Roll the
did, but it
replay.
was
It
you
was
danced around
very-
it a lot, but I'll
it was
give you that.
certainly
That's
not
fine.
like direct. People are getting like burned to death by weird black magic, and there's nothing but body dust and black scorch marks.
I'll say that she definitely still blanches at the thought of it, but yeah.
I was hoping to see something in her that would make her think that one of them might actually be capable of murder.
She if I'm being honest, well, I mean, go Grub, but he's just that is who he is. But a murderer and a traitor? I mean, we all got into the Culinarians Guild because we loved the guild and the city, and I can't think of anybody that high up that would. I'm sorry. It's hard for me to think of them like that, if that makes any sense.
I'm going to put one hand on her shoulder and say, it's okay. I know this is a lot to process. We're just trying to help.
I know. Yeah, I know. And you are definitely helping. You are already making great strides. Goodness, not everybody can just get a meeting with the guild master like that. It's just a lot, and I feel a little out of my element. So, if anything else I can do to help, I'll give you everything I can.
We do appreciate you keeping an eye on the young ones. Thank you very much for that. And we
3 out
also
of 4 is
appreciate
pretty
your
good.
discretion.
Yeah.
Well, that much I know I can help with. I should go check on them. But let me know if I can help at all. And she's back to kind of not being as floaty as normal. But she heads upstairs as well. Into my mythical GM lair where you can't see them. Because honestly, half the time I don't delete stuff. These things are disgusting. Don't look at my view.
All right, so what our party is not as familiar with these people, so we wouldn't necessarily be able to look at Rare's statement and see where possible holes are. Is there enough time for us to do one more investigation before the end of the session? And if so, would you like to go and track down Mulholland, or would you like to go and see if we can find information about Ramen?
The Cosmos will briefly tell you, you definitely have time. We've got 40 minutes. That's definitely enough time for conversation.
Well,
That's a lot.
I don't know if any
You
of
might
these
be able to
conversations require shenanigans, so that's why I asked.
That's fair.
True, true.
But then the Cosmos will be silent about who to talk to because, I know everything. I am the Cosmos.
Can the Cosmos give us a 5-minute break?
Oh, shoot! You guys got to remind me that way early. Yeah, go take a 5-minute break. We'll be back at 8:25.
I need to
Mhm.
stock up on refreshments.
Yep. Go. Shoot.
Good.
I'm muting myself. We'll be back at 8:25.
Okay.
back. It has been 5 minutes, and I hope everyone is ready to get back to it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, we did it. So where are you guys headed? I heard 2 suggestions of track down Romhen or talk to Mulholland. Those seem like good ideas. I could also think of like 6 other people you could talk to.
So is it supposed to be a play on Top Ramen or Rumham?
It's definitely the first one, but I like the second one too.
Romance.
All
I
right.
couldn't help it.
So
Romhen just like happened.
Mm.
I feel like I've been talking a lot, and I want to make sure that Sav and Foob also get an opportunity to participate. So we can go interview one of the guys that their personalities would match with, or we can just kind of see what we can go to Romhen's office and just start asking around, since Ranmar said that he was by appointment only. So if he hasn't been at his office should know where he's been.
Yeah, let's start there. He seems like a slippery fuck.
By appointment, do you think we could just like barge in with our sword pointed at
If
him?
we had an axe.
We had an axe. Dang, we don't have an axe.
Man,
Not yet.
We have a hand axe.
Oh, that's true. We don't
I-
have weapons. Should we go? Some of you don't have weapons, right? Like good ones?
Well,
I mean, I'm missing my best weapon, but I can make do. I've
Okay.
got.
I'm missing my second best weapon.
That's true. You've got your gun. I don't know if we'll have to fight. I just don't want to put us.
Technically,
I got
I
both
got
guns,
3.
so I can just start blasting.
Nice.
no, I really like the image.
I started blasting.
Holden gets into a fight, realizes he doesn't have his crossbow, and just like jacks Tyrus's beam rifle. Like, give me that.
You're doing it wrong. It goes to 11.
Okay. I defer to you guys. I just want to make sure everyone has a chance to participate.
Sure.
I'm participating.
I know,
I mean,
but more. I like it when you guys participate. So.
I'm kind of like feeling like we're gonna meet like 2 culinarians talking to each other at some point. Besides the ones that, casually hang out together.
That is entirely possible.
And the Cosmos might agree with us.
Cosmos
Ryu
ain't
just
saying
stares
jack.
into the. I mean, like, it is a possibility, but whatever gets us from point A to point B faster.
Well, since Tyrus is spoiling for a fight, we could go to Gogren, since he's supposed to be the.
The Cosmos is dark.
You're telling me it's not a Milky Way?
Oh,
Ooh, that'd have been good too.
We could just start working our way down the list, cause.
Yeah, I'll
Well-
fist fight him. I don't care. Let's go.
Let's go.
It's the worst that could happen. I get my shit kicked out of me? Yeah, it's happened before. I'm used to it.
Maybe you need the rainbow rapier.
I mean, you guys remember when I fought a Sphinx, right?
Uh-huh. And the little dinosaurs.
And little dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I'm used to getting my shit kicked in.
All right.
We don't talk about the story you grappled with the Sphinx.
Oh, boy.
We're on our way to Gogren then.
All right.
Go Grant.
Well, as you might expect, Gogur's office, while at Allers Hall, is definitely on the basement level. Kind of far away from everybody else. You have to go down a couple corridors, definitely nowhere near the direction you went to go to requisitions.
I was just thinking that. Like, perfect. Maybe he
Yeah.
heard the commotion.
Oh no. By the time you find Gogur's office, it almost feels like you've gone in the wrong direction. In fact, it feels that way So much so that like once or twice you start to like look around and like,
So he lives in a very small container that you'd have to squeeze him in and out of.
Like a genie in the bottle?
He was named for
Well,
Gogurt, right?
Like
Gogurt.
like Gogurt.
oh goodness.
Was he not named for
I-
Gogurt?
No,
Oh,
But
no,
now he is.
not.
that was the
He is
named-
now.
What's he named for? That was the first thing I thought of when you said it.
I think the only one that was actually a food pun was Romhen.
Oh, I think I
He
just-
just has orc name.
You should just take credit for Gogurt.
Gogurt.
No, I
I
can't.
think we just kind of made them all food related somehow.
Yeah, I thought this is Dragon Ball Z where they're all just food related.
He's definitely not Dragon Ball Z. Okay, sorry.
So
I had to look at a few things.
not Gogurt.
Oh shoot! I accidentally closed roll 20. That happens. It does. It's a nightmare. Every time I do something wrong, I'm like, I'm just gonna hit the back button and I'll fix it, and then it doesn't because I leave roll 20. I'm going to improvise. I didn't make scenes for all of these guys' offices because honestly, man.
Oh, they're not
That's
gonna
a lot
have
of work
faces
and
like
such-
Racklin did. That was amazing.
Oh no, they have the one face, but just the one.
Were those like bespoke commissioned pieces, or did you just happen to find the same guy making many faces?
I looked for. I remember I did a search for birds wearing chef hats, and I found a webcomic that you. I'm just going to tell you right now. This is on record. Don't reverse image search any of my tokens.
Fair warning. I
but-
appreciate that.
Hey, basics. Google birds wearing chef hats.
No, don't. There was like one page from a webcomic that had a side character that was Chef Bird, and I was like, oh, that's exactly what I want. They just have to never reverse image search this, and everyone will be okay.
That's amazing.
So that is as far back. I'm going to peel the curtain right now. Maybe I'll talk about it when the campaign's over. So you find your way to Gogur's office. It is. I'm going to go so far as to say, like, this part of the guild hall is like dank, cavernous levels. You get to his door. It feels like the wood is wet from being below the earth, and I mean it opens well enough, but it's heavy, and the room around you feels heavy. And even though this is definitely not exactly the image, I'm at least going to draw us over here because it's kind of the right feel of it's dark and barely lit.
Mm.
And our first raid boss encounter.
You know,
It's like,
I just thought it'd be nice to have a bigger vision of the picture. The first thing everybody sees is meat. There is so much hanging protein around that it looks like Gogra has used the meat as decorations. It's all fairly fresh though. It's not. You don't see a lot of like rotten stuff. There are no flies. Maybe the hallmark of his office is an enormous grill and furnace that is keeping this room incredibly hot, but is also like the only light source, so everything is lit by the orange fire and otherwise dark. But next to that is a large chopping block that is engraved with a decent number of runes, behind which is standing a very formidable orc man who is dressed in Culinarian's Guild finery. In one hand, he has a very utilitarian-looking cleaver, and in the other hand, he is handling some sort of protein. I'm going to go so far as to say, because we haven't rolled enough dice today, if anybody would like to, it would be probably, I don't know if there's a medicine skill, but something like that. If not perception.
Both of those are 0.
Oh my gosh, were those both actually skills?
Those are actually skills.
Dang, guys, I'm learning.
I know.
17 in perception. My medicine is a 1.
Oh, good. Only one person got it, so I can DM you, and that's funnier. And it just so happens that I most recently DM'd you, so I actually could find you.
Sweet.
Hooray.
There we go. So, as you walk into the room, he definitely stops, but he's still holding the cleaver, just like, because that's what he's doing. He's butchering. And it doesn't take long before recognition dawns. He doesn't stop smiling, though. Or at the very least, his fangs make it so he can't. Ugh. You lot. You must be the ones the guildmaster said was coming by. Something about, feast safety, huh? Hey! I was hoping I'd see you lot again. He looks over to Tyrus and Rayun. Come on. Sit down by the fire.
I take a seat.
He's got a couple of large wooden benches nearby the fire. And he pulls up one for himself after offering a lot of you one. He says, I can't thank you enough. More than that. More than that. As far as I'm concerned, you guys are heroes, and you've certainly earned a few minutes of my time. So, I'm happy to give it to you. Oh, I'm sorry, I've forgotten my manners. Can I offer you some refreshments? And he just reaches up, and when he reaches down, in his hands is a sausage. There really is just kind of meat everywhere. But he hands it out to you guys.
I'm gonna put my hand up and above my
What's
in
up
front
with
of my mouth and
Gogurt's
just say,
meat?
maybe don't eat that.
I lean over to Mira and whisper, "What's going on?"
Tyrus takes one and starts to eat it.
Then I'm just going to make a really disgusted face at Tyrus and whisper to Rayun, what he's butchering right there is a human leg.
Ryun just kind of shudders for a second.
Oh my gosh.
And then and then just makes eye contact with the culinarian and just goes and just says, you know what? I forgot what I was going to say next.
Gogura's smile doesn't really drop, but he
You're gonna have to take
kind
a
of
bite
starts
of it.
when you say that. Oh no, Tyrus already did. Tyrus, to his credit, this is a very well cured sausage.
It's delicious.
There's some spice in there. It looks like great care was taken with this.
Soylent Green is people.
However, Mira, when you tell Rayun that Gogura's smile doesn't fade, it can't, but he does say, yeah, sorry about that. That's a work thing. You don't need to worry about this one. This is this is somebody who didn't like answering questions.
Yes,
And-
but who?
Well, I don't got nothing to hide. I've been looking for someone. And that someone is someone that it'd be better for the guild if that person wasn't around anymore. But the gentleman that I was just practicing on wouldn't answer questions fast enough. So,
Was he like beating around the bush and stuff like that, or?
he was feeling me out, trying to find some weaknesses. It was around the time that he started feeling around for a knife that, well, I decided to take a few keepsakes. It's important. I know it seems grisly, but I have to practice. And nothing cuts flesh same way that flesh cuts.
Pray tell, what's in the sausage?
That? Oh. That one is charbor. That should be fine. Those things are practically farmed.
Is it okay if I grab one?
Sure. He
All right.
reaches down and hands you one. Same as before. That is good food.
Yeah. Oh wow, these are really good.
That's a family recipe. There's a few chefs over on Skullfruit that, well, they didn't like to give up that recipe, so I decided we became family.
Oh, okay.
So, what can I do for you?
I forget. Was this guy was there during the fire, right?
This was the orc that you guys encountered who was escorting survivors out of the building. That's why he recognized you. He flat out said you guys are heroes because he saw you in the building.
Right. Hey, by any chance, where were you when the fire started?
Yeah. He starts laughing but stops pretty quick when he realizes the situation and the seriousness. He says, "Oh, that kind of security. Well, that makes sense." You know what? I think that means we're on the same page. You want to know where I was? I was at the Fish and Fiddle. It's a little tavern in a pretty seedy district, but real close to there.
Were you also looking for information?
Yeah, cracking skulls. Seems to be the best way to get an answer in that district.
Right.
But no one was talking. And then an explosion, and all the rats went underground. But I wasn't disappointed. I heard trouble, and I ran to the hall. I got there first. I waited to see if anybody else was going to show up, any of the other counselors. And to their credit, I saw Chakel pretty quick, not long after me. We made eye contact, and that was all I needed. And I started to run in and see if I could save people. I think 2 runs in. Yeah, after my second run, I saw Rare and May. May? Yeah, Rare and May making their way to the fire. They gave me the signal, and I kept doing what I was doing. I don't really know what they did. outside stuff. Helping the survivors, maybe. I think I did 7 runs that night. Sounds right. The one I ran into you, I think that was my last one, the 7th run. But I was gonna go in for an 8th, but with you lot in and things getting a little dizzy, I decided it'd be best if I lay down on the grass. And then uh, I woke up in the infirmary.
By any chance, have you come across any of the other culinarians?
Well, I had to say thanks to Chikel for stopping me from going back in. Turns out, the person that was patching me up said I probably wouldn't have made it out if I'd tried again. A lot of smoke in the lungs. Of course, he points to the sausage. It's kind of just par for the course. But no, I've talked to Chikel. I gave Guildmaster a rundown. He doesn't. He actively tries not to listen to my reports most of the time, but this one he was pretty intent on. And I think that's it. I don't think I talked to anybody since. I've only been out of bed for 3 or 4 days.
Do you have any suspicions on anybody else that might be unsavory, I guess?
Suspicious. Huh. It didn't occur to me that you'd be interviewing me because I thought you thought I was the culprit. But, well, I can only tell you I didn't do it so hard. Well, let's see. I don't know. I haven't heard from Ramhan in a while, but it doesn't mean he knows how to use explosives. Pretty sure he's older than explosives. I guess Mesalier might know how. I don't know. I'm trying to think about it from the perspective of who could. Maybe May. She's always studying stuff. Mesalier, nobody even knows how she does her magic. But I don't like throwing around accusations like that if I can help it, not without some evidence. Well, they're the counselors for a reason, I guess.
Right.
Heck, I'd be more convinced to say that it was that Telemar lady. I hate her. The only time I've ever interacted with her, I tried to say welcome. She wouldn't even shake my hand. She looked at me like I was covered in mud. Yeah. There was a little blood, I guess, but, he starts, like, idly cleaning his cleaver.
I'm going to look from the leg directly into his eyes and just say, since you obviously have no problem killing directly, is it your style when you're going about your guild protecting business to have others do your dirty work for you?
No. Doing the dirty work's half the fun. Hey, okay, listen. He raises his non-cleaver hand to actually kind of placate you a little. And says, listen. There were stories from from the Dolden kings centuries, millennia ago. Said that a good king had 4 advisors. They had a voice, spoke for the people, spoke for the king to the people. There was a right hand. There was a sword hand. There was a general. There was a left hand that held the fan. That was the politics. It was the person that kept the empire, the kingdom together. And then there was another hand, the underhand. And that was the one that got their hands dirty so that the king never had to. My job exists so that Rare can keep smiling and all of the other nations, city-states, can keep smiling back at him. But everybody knows that there are criminals around, and every once in a while, a criminal needs to get thrown off a bridge. He points over to the leg of leg and says, the fact that I'm good at my job is the reason I'm here. That being said, I'm not a traitor. And if you gave me 5 minutes alone with them, oh man, there'd be more than just a leg. So to answer your question, no. I'm the only person here that I trust to do this job. And I wouldn't hand it off to any subordinates. Oh, I should add. He points back to the leg. Says, I've been trying to track down Razmi's killer for the last couple weeks. That's where this was coming from. Since I'm putting everything out there. I don't know what you're looking for. Hopefully it's the same thing. Or whoever set off all those bombs, since that's what you were asking about. But, that's what I'm doing. I'm just following the footsteps. That was a joke. He does actually say that.
Forgive me, just uh, collecting my thoughts.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't that funny? He doesn't even have a foot anymore. Well, if you have other questions, I got all the time in the world for you. Or if you can't think of any, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, I might sneak around here and there and keep trying to put a name to a foot, but I'm not leaving the island anytime soon.
Is there anyone within the leadership group that you think is more of a keep their hands clean during the dirty work style?
Now that's a different question. Wow, that's a good question. You know, for as pretty as his face may be, Rare doesn't have a problem with getting the work done when it needs to be done. I mean, heck, he was there at Open Hands Hall. Sorry, I don't mean to typecast, but I think it might just be the 2 younger girls, May and Messelir. I know Harpin, If she was around, she'd have no problem stirring her hands in whatever pile of viscera needed to be. Romhen, I guess, tries to keep a little clean, but he's been doing this for so long. He's probably killed a man. You look at Chikel, he's probably eaten a man. And I happen to know on authority that Mulholland has definitely killed for the guild. That's fun.
What about
Uh,
for themselves?
Hmm. That's a tough one.
We can find a way to delicately ask him. I would like to hear who he thinks the dumbest person in the guild is.
Please do. He seems very direct.
Yeah,
That's why I'd like to hear from him.
yeah, it's something along the lines of like, hey, this clearly is some sort of masterwork plan if it involved like hidden explosives and stuff. Who's the best or worst at planning? And by the time you finish the question, his smile is already cocked and ready to go. And he goes, "Oh, you're talking about Rare, huh?
Are
Yeah,
you
that man's
talking
dumb as a
about
rock."
Rare?
Or he flat out says that man is dumb as a rock.
That a commonly held belief.
Oh yeah. Yeah, listen. He's guildmaster because he's a phenomenal chef and he won the Tournament of Steel so badly or so single-handedly that he had to be on the council. And with a face that pretty, it seemed natural that he take the leadership and be the face. But he's he may not have too much brains between them eyes. Between us.
Are you aware of anybody that doesn't believe he's the dumbest in the guild?
No, I think that's pretty common belief.
All right.
I think it wouldn't surprise me if that's pretty common belief among the leaders of the other nations. Well, not Nazma, that's a different thing. But if you ask Dean Masia, I'm pretty sure she would say the same thing. He's lovely, he's handsome, he's got air for brains.
Just amongst us, not including Gogurt, it seems to me that that might be a facade that's been created deliberately. Like, what better way to hide in plain sight, so to speak, is to have everyone around you assume you're just too dumb to do anything wrong? Maybe he's back on my radar.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It kind of seems like he has ulterior motives besides trying to figure out the death of Razmi.
Well, anything else?
No, I want us doing that for a while.
Trust me, I don't mind bad-mouthing my fellow counselors.
When was the
You know,
last time you saw
For the sake of the guild.
interacted with Romhen?
You know, I was thinking about that. I was talking about how old he was. It's been a while. Probably over a month. He disappears for days on end, but no, I think about it, it's been a while. It's a lot longer than normal.
I'm just typing up my notes for each of the people.
Mhm.
And the
You know,
ones that
he
we've
actually
interviewed so far.
he pauses for a sec, puts his cleaver to his chin for a sec, says, "Huh. Well, he might have done it. if I'm just throwing around baseless accusations. I really would love to have some evidence, before I do anything, but if I'm just spitting in my palms, he might be the smartest person on the planet. He's just been around so long and he loves those books. Well, he still calls them scrolls. But I don't know. You mentioned the long game. I can't imagine anybody playing a longer game than him. I don't think anybody, including him, even knows how old he is.
Well, before we take our leave, if you could please contact us if you get word or know of anyone who has seen him, we would greatly appreciate it. We've also been tasked with locating him.
That's a good call. We're going to need all hands on deck. I got a feeling. He points back to the leg again. We're not out of the woods just because it's been a few days since anybody died. Open Hands Hall was an attack. I don't know why, I just know it. What kind of monster blows up a food kitchen and a shelter?
Well, we're going to find out.
Can't wait. Can't wait to hear it.
As we leave, I'll shake his hand and tell him that I misjudged him. It turns out he's a well-cultured man.
He nods, still smiling a little, and says, I get that a lot. He also, by the way, thinks to brush off his hand and make it clean to present to you.
Oh, how lovely.
He walks you out and closes the door behind you. And that seems like a good opportunity for us to call it a night. It is 9 o'clock. Oh, wait, no, I gotta give you this first. Bam!
Hooray!
Yay! Thank you.
So glad
Nice.
that's working. I should really say, these are the bare bones notes of things specifically related to the Open Hall Hands incident. Obviously, we talk about way more than that. Please feel free to keep those, because I'm going to tell you all sorts of stuff, and there is going to be relevant stuff in there. I can't plan for everything. I can barely plan for these parts.
Something for everyone to consider. Do you know what the specifically female gendered cheetah is called? Like a female lion is a lioness. Do you know what a female cheetah is called?
I do not.
It is, no joke, a she cheetah.
A cheetah?
Ah,
And you're gonna think, why didn't they just cut out the middleman and call it a cheetah, and then realize how silly that is and assume I'm lying and look it up later, and you're gonna be surprised that is completely the truth.
He's
Wow.
telling the truth. I've already looked it up.
yeah, that is totally true.
Fun
Gosh dang
facts on D&D.
Wow. I'm glad I got to learn something tonight.
All right, thanks. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, have a good night, everyone. We're still on for the current schedule of February the 16th, 2
Yep.
weeks from now.
See you in 2
And
weeks.
I'll ping everybody beforehand. Have a good night.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah.
Bye.